All right, welcome back. We're back again another week with the Realtor Coach. We're here talking about February is really focusing on action steps. If we recall back in January, we really spoke about goal setting, business planning, strategizing. February, we've been focusing on action steps, so putting that plan from January into action. So today, we're going to be focusing on not only action, but what you actually do each day may surprise you. We're going to be talking about the super successful agents, what they do day in, day out. You'd be really surprised on how little work they actually do. But at the end of the day, there's a misconception and a perception that's wrong in the marketplace, whereby most realtors think they have to do everything. And unfortunately, that's just not the case. So, are you busy? That's the question of the day. Most realtors, the average realtor, I guarantee if you just called them right now, I'd say, "Are you busy?" And they'd say, "Yeah, definitely, I'm busy all the time, all day, every day." But busy doing what exactly? The average realtor earns $47,000 a year in North America. If you're always busy, wouldn't you want to figure out why you're being busy isn't translating into the success and ultimately more money for yourself? See, the challenge is most people don't track what they're actually doing every single day, day in, day out. If you had the ability to do that, and you easily can, we'll get into why and how you can do that, you'd be surprised of what most things you do not translate into more transactions, more clients, more ultimately money for yourself and your business. So the big question is, are you busy? Yes, you probably are busy, but busy doing what exactly? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So last week, we talked about, we're going to review last week's session as well, but we talked about PAs and NPAs. So PAs is a productive activity and NPA is a non-productive activity. So really we're focusing on getting things done, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much I educate you, how much knowledge you have, if you don't put into practice what you're learning, if you don't take action on it, there's really no point of learning it. Ultimately, there's no point of you can't go to the bank and say, "Yeah, I learned something new this week and I need a loan," even though I'm not making any more money. They don't care. They don't care what you know, but they want to know what you're earning, and the only way to earn more is to take different action or more productive action, to be more specific. So again, PA is a productive action or activity, and NPA is non-productive action or activity. So top producers only produce PAs all day long. They're in their unique ability. They're focused on doing the one thing that makes them transactions, closings, more clients, and that's all they do. And they basically delegate everything else that would keep the average realtor busy day to day. And we're going to get through those lists of things. So for yourselves, if you're listening today, you got to figure out, what do you do day in, day out, week in, week out, month out, and then you got to say, what are you doing? Is it productive? Is it non-productive? But the only way to do that is to track what you're doing. So let's just talk about what non-productive activities are. Now, obviously, there's a lot more non-productive activities than productive activities. This is a short list, but this is probably the top list of what I would say most realtors would do day in, day out, that keeps them busy, but not necessarily productive. Okay, so email. Email is it's a blessing and a curse, of course. It keeps us busy responding to clients, responding to possibly lead generation, emailing your friends, emailing your past clients, whatever you're doing. The challenge with all that is that can be delegated. We're going to get into sort of your circles of what you need to be focusing on. But email and lead generation really doesn't need your personal touch. It doesn't need your influence day in, day out, hour after hour. It just doesn't. Social media, this is probably, again, it's a blessing and a curse. Like, I appreciate the value of social media, especially from a business standpoint. I don't agree with how much hours people put into using it on a weekly basis when it comes to real estate business owners, real estate realtors. For me personally, you can basically automate the system. You can pay people virtual assistants, literally like pennies per click, and you can pay them to post links for literally pennies on the dollar. But you got to really set that up. If you don't set it up, you're never going to get anything. But going forward, social media, for example, so we have something I think it's called Google Alerts. What we do is we put in what we want to talk about on our social media links. So let's say, for example, it's Toronto real estate or real estate sales or investing or whatever it is you're talking about on your specific page, your specific city, your region, your whatever your fan base is following you for. You just Google, you literally Google alerts, and you'll be able to put in whatever you're searching for, and then you can get the alerts posted to your email every single day. So I spend for sure less than 5 minutes a day. It's probably even less than that. It's probably less than 3 minutes a day. What happens is I get all these alerts to our email, then the email gets fed into our Facebook page, which then gets fed into our Twitter and LinkedIn pages. So I don't spend much time on it, but we have a very robust following on Facebook. We only have 35 realtors. We have over 900 likes and people who sort of interact with our pages throughout the days and throughout the weeks. But we don't spend much time on it. You really shouldn't. People get too bombarded with Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn when it comes to real estate. Does it translate into business? It can, but for the most part, it's not a good use of your time. One, you have to always ask yourself, can this be delegated? Can somebody be doing it for less money than what you would do if you're doing an offer for a client, let's say, okay? We're going to get into sort of how you visually see the importance of this. Showings. Showings for me are a very non-productive activity, especially when it comes to buyer clients. When it comes to buyer clients, you can hire out, again, can this be delegated? Can somebody else do this for you while you're doing more productive activities, such as dealing face-to-face with your clients in terms of the sellers and the buyers, but not necessarily showing them around the city. So when I was a buyer's agent, when I first started in the business, I would spend hours, like whole entire days with one person just to show them, like half a dozen properties or whatever it is, driving around the city. You're essentially a professional taxi service, but you're not getting paid for it until they actually make a sale. And then if they don't make a sale, you just wasted all that time. And when you reflect back on it, if you're spending, 4 to 6 hours a day in your car or doing showings with clients, it's 4 to 6 hours of non-productive activities that you can be focusing on just doing productive activities. And we're going to get into what those are in a minute. So building websites, office time, that's a big one. If you're in the office, you're not making money. It's just a matter of fact. It doesn't matter what you're selling. If you're spending time in the office, your clients aren't hanging out in the office with you. And if they are, that's okay if they're buying or selling something. But for the most part, realtors spend too much time in the office. Now, again, don't get me wrong. I'm happy to have everyone in the office. But it's just a challenge to see that the most productive agents we have, they're rarely seen because they're always out with clients or they're doing things to advance their business. They're doing productive activities. Open houses, cold calling, door knocking. Again, all that can be delegated. It can be delegated to a team member. It can be delegated to somebody new in the business, somebody who is learning or wants to learn the business. This can all be delegated to people such as that in your team, that you can pay people. Obviously, open house is a little bit different, but you can have virtual assistants to do everything else for you. But again, you really have to focus on non-productive versus productive activities. So for productive activities, if you're not doing this every day, then you're not being productive. So for me, the only way you get paid in real estate is if you make an offer. I think everybody can sort of agree to that. But how often do you make offers throughout the week? If you're only making offers when you have a client or a buyer or a seller, or you're negotiating it for a seller, and that only happens, once a month or once a week or whatever it is, then you're not being productive every day. You're just not. And what we were talking about last week at our live training session was that you should be making an offer every single day. And the agent was like, well, we don't have clients and we don't have people buying every single day. Well, make them buy every single day. What you need to do is start creating offers. You go onto your local MLS system or service, whatever it is, and you start finding deals where every single day you prepare an offer. And I said, make a low ball offer on whatever property it is. You could do 1 offer a day, 10 offers a day. It doesn't really matter. But what you would do, you would take the value of the property. Let's say it's $500,000 home. You take 80% loan to value of what that property is. So let's say it's $400,000 on a $500,000 home in this example. If the offer gets accepted, then you have a property that's extremely undervalued, and you would find the buyers will find you. They will come to you. It will not be difficult to translate that house into a commission sale. Or at the very least, if you buy a home like that and you're wholesaling, then what you need to do is buy the house yourself, and you have to figure out how to do it. Now, we're going to teach you how to do that, so you don't have to worry about it. But going forward, if you're not producing an offer, making offers every single day, then you're not being productive. It's just that simple. So again, if you don't have clients, still do the offers, okay? Referral generation from past clients. This is going to be your biggest moneymaker, and most agents, I would say 90+% of agents, do not spend time referral generation from their client base. Again, we talk about 93 different ways to generate referrals in business, and we're going to get into referral business in the later months of the year. But what we talk about is how every day, if you're not working on getting new referrals, new business, then you're wasting time, because doing a lead generation based off of direct mail campaigns, which are great, don't get me wrong. Remember the Parthenon from earlier this month? There's 7 or 9 different ways to generate revenue into your business. One of them is direct mail. One of them is like door knocking. Not that we recommend that, but there's different ways and strategies to do that. But open houses, referrals, etc. But referrals is your number one moneymaker. It's the cheapest thing to do, and it's the highest return on your investment you can do. So each day you need to be making offers, referral generation, past client follow-up. Even if you're not getting referrals from your past clients, as long as you stay in touch with your past clients, it's key. And networking is a big one. Most people don't network the way they should network. Networking, when it comes to real estate sales, the bigger your circle of influence, the more sales, the more people you know, eventually generates more business for yourself. So networking is key. And you don't have to go to like big networking events every single day, but you can definitely do networking on the phone with people. Again, this goes back to not necessarily past clients, but people in your referral base, your client systems, your networking base. You can, meeting new developer clients who are looking for bigger projects to develop. You can, investor circles are happening all the time. There's online networking events. But again, the challenge with networking is if it's a live event, obviously you can't delegate that to somebody. But online networking and phone networking and webinar networking, all that can be delegated to somebody else just to get your name out there. So yeah, those are the productive activities. Much shorter list than non-productive. But again, most realtors feel as though if they're just being busy doing something, even if it's non-productive, then they could say, well, I had a busy day. Well, I'd rather you have a less busy day and be very productive in that very short window of time. You'll see bigger results going forward. All right, so Darren Hardy, who is the publisher of Success Magazine, if anyone has read his book, it's called The Compound Effect. It's probably one of my favorite books. It's definitely my favorite book so far this year of 2015. But in terms of the books I've read in my lifetime, it's probably up there with probably in the top 5 books, best books I've ever read when it comes to productivity, success, action steps, how to produce results. Darren Hardy he literally writes the book every day on Success Magazine, how to be successful. And he interviews the top successful people around the world every single year. And that's what he does day in, day out. So the only way to find out what you do day in, day out is to track what you are doing. This is where the premise of his book, The Compound Effect. He says most people who's successful people anyways, they know exactly what they're doing down to the minute every single day. And anything that's non-productive during that day gets either delegated or just doesn't get done at all. And most people don't understand what they do each day because they don't track it. So if you woke up today and you did, you got up, you got dressed, you showered, you ate your breakfast, you worked out, whatever you did, then you come into the office, you probably drove to the office on the same streets that you do every single day. You get into the office, you check your email, your phone, messages, if you have any, and then you just start being busy doing nothing, right? And then the whole day goes by and you haven't made any offers, no new clients, you haven't contacted past clients, and then you go about your day, and then the next day you do the same thing over and over and over again. Well, Darren Hardy talks about if you just had the ability to track what you do, just take 1 week and every 15-minute segments throughout the day, just jot down what you actually did. So if it was email, just jot down email for 15 minutes. And then the next 15-minute window, what'd you do that 15 minutes? Well, I was on the phone, or I went to a coffee break, or, I was socializing in the office, or I went for a walk, or whatever it is. So if you literally tracked what you did from 9 to 5, your work day, or whatever you work, if it's 10 to 6 or noon to 8, whatever you do each day, you got to track what you do. And when you be able to track what you do, you'll be able to then focus on what's productive, what's not productive. And you will literally be shocked and amazed at what you actually do not do throughout the day. So a lot of the time, I'm always a big proponent on education and learning and reading and doing new things. But A lot of realtors say, I'm too busy to do it. I don't have the time of the day. You'd be surprised how much time you actually have each day. In North America, it's tracked that we have anywhere from 6 to 8 hours a day of TV time, screen time with your phone, your iPad, your computer, your TV screen, like I said earlier. 6 to 8 hours a day. If you just cut that out, that's a lot of time that you can devote to bettering yourself, moving your business forward, doing productive activities. That's the only way to really move your business forward. But if you don't track what you do, it's hard to change what you don't acknowledge you're doing day in, day out. Let's see. Okay, it's the only way to make change to anything is to track it, monitor the changes, and then reorganize the actions to make a change. So to reorganize, again, so you track what you're doing day in, day out, and then reorganize what you could take off your plate. So what can you delegate to somebody who's a virtual assistant? What can you delegate to somebody who's potentially on your team? If you don't have anybody on your team, make your one productive activity today to find a team member. Okay, find somebody who's fairly new in the business. You don't want someone who's too new, because you don't want to be able to spend your whole days teaching someone how to do the business. But you need somebody who has some knowledge base of the business, who's probably done some deals, who doesn't maybe want to devote full-time business yet, but they're working part-time. And you can really start to delegate a lot of things that take away from your productivity to this new person. Now, that being said, you're like, well, that's not fair to the other person. Well, they're learning, and as they learn and grow, you're going to have to delegate to them things they need to delegate to somebody else. So you will be teaching them along the way. So that's the only way to do it, to grow your business to the next level. So the other part of the book, I've been harping on this probably all year about Jim Rohn and Darren Hardy talking about small productive actions done over a long period of time create big change. The challenge is most people, if you don't see the immediate results, they really get they get frustrated, they get disheartened, they tend to not continue with the actions, the small little changes each day, day in, day out, that makes for big results later in the year, and eventually 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, whatever it is. Your business is going to be huge. So your initial actions, you're working with very little rewards. The problem with no action, it seems as though it's the same as a very small action in the beginning. And the challenge that most people have going forward is to say, well, if I just don't do it, well, what's the big deal if I do it and I don't see any results? Well, by doing it, you're still doing the work you require for these big achievements down the road. It's what we call cumulative results. So over time, it builds and builds and builds. We're going to be talking later on about this book called The One Thing by Gary Keller. He talks about the domino effect. So if you just doubled what you did in a day, so if you did 0 offers yesterday, we'll try and do 1 offer today, and tomorrow do 2 offers, and the next day 4 offers, and it gets to a point where you're saying, again, I don't have clients for this, but if you continue acquiring properties, or you continue to get properties under contract that are undervalued, you won't have to find people. They will find you. Okay, it's all word of mouth. They'll get to a point where you are the person to go to with the people, with the contracts of properties that are undervalued. So again, it's small little changes incrementally over time lead to big, big differences. And again, no action, no work with little consequence doesn't really make a difference to you now, but over time, it's a big disappointment. So again, it's a very key graphic, and it's very important to get that in your minds. So this month, I guess, is the entire month, we've really been talking about sort of the overall structure. So January, we're talking about goal setting. We're going to review what a goal is and how to create goals. And then February, we're talking about planning and taking action. And then as we move along the year, we're going to really be honing in on reorganizing your plan of attack, your strategy, your business plan, whatever you want to call it. And that's really when you come into fact and reality. And then you have to sort of reevaluate your initial goal. I gave the example of one of my goals. Our targets is a 40-year plan. This is the 3rd year, I believe, or 4th year of that plan when I originally set it out years ago. But we're already at year 20 according to the plan. So we're going to have to reevaluate. We're going to have to go back to what's the fact, what's the reality, and refocus the goal and retarget the plan of attack and the action and the strategy. But basically, the recap from February is we want to talk about the goal for a second here. So goals, very quickly, are there's A goals, B goals, and C goals. A goals are goals you already know how to do. It's not necessarily motivating. It doesn't change the person you want to become. It doesn't propel you into growth. It doesn't propel you into anything you truly want to do. So what I tell people to do with their A goals is just get rid of them altogether. A goals are things like, well, I made 50,000 last year. I just want to make 50,000 this year. It's something you already know how to do. There's no real gain in yourself as an individual to have an A goal. So B goal is a goal you think you can do if you have a plan in place and you stick to that plan. You don't know necessarily how to do everything, but if you plan it out, you can really hone it in. And what we talk about here, Young Realty, is doing a 12x change for B goal. 12x or 12 times change is take your annual income, and your goal should be to make that a monthly income. So if you earned $50,000 last year, your goal this year should be $50,000 per month. So change your annual income into a monthly income. Can it happen within the span of 1 year? Absolutely. But realistically, it's not necessarily going to happen because there's a lot of things you're going to have to do day in, day out. One of them is track what you actually do and how you can delegate things that get off your plate. But what it takes over time, you can do it in a year, but realistically, a 12x change will take anywhere from like 3 to 5 years to implement. But if you don't start it now, it's just going to postpone it that much longer. But ultimately, what we want you guys all creating is this C goal, this fantasy goal. If time and money were no issue, what is it you want to be doing day in, day out? Most people, I don't think, would say they want to be showing, rental properties on the weekend. I doubt that's anybody's fantasy goal. But what you need to do is use your B goal to propel you towards your fantasy goal. Is it building schools across the world? Is it, trying to change the environment? Is it something, so astronomically large? Is it the Wright brothers, they want to create an airplane that didn't exist before? Is it, Hillary trying to go to the top of Mount Everest and nobody's ever done it before? Like, these are fantasy goals. If someone's not telling you you're crazy about your goal, then it's probably not big enough. My goal, I don't even tell people anymore, because when I first started telling people, they thought I had lost my mind. So I just don't share it. I don't talk about it. I know what it is. I have my goal card on me every single day. I think about it all day, basically, and it propels me to move forward. Now, I've chosen real estate to propel me into the direction that I want to go. And then within that confines of real estate, we have B goals in all the different companies that we own. So the B goals, another way you could think of it as business goals, what each business should be doing year in, year out. And that's all going to propel me forward to the C goal. So it's a very quick recap of goals from January. Now, once you have your goal set, you have to ask two questions to yourself. Are you able to do the goal? Yeah, you're absolutely capable. You're able. You can do anything you want to do. We're going to talk a little bit later about probability theory. The challenge with most people is they get stuck on, well, it's probably not, nobody ever's ever done it before, so I can't do it. That able question should always be yes for everybody. The big question you need to ask yourself is, are you willing? Are you willing to do what it takes to get you from your goal to a plan of attack to a reality, so you can actually see your goal come to fruition? The biggest challenge to most people is to be willing to do something. You have to be emotionally attached to it. So you have to have your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions all in line to get you to where you want to go, to propel you forward. Now, once your goal is set, you then have to start planning out what you want to do, either business planning, strategizing. But again, the point of planning is not necessarily to say, here's the plan. The point of planning is to incrementally break down your goal into a small incremental thing that will allow you to take action on. The challenge with most people is they have this great, if you use the flight plan as an analogy, you want to go from Toronto to Montreal, the pilot gets in the airplane, he creates the plan. The flight plan, you're going to say, we're going to go up to 30,000 feet, and we're going to fly east for, whatever, 300 miles, whatever it is they're going. But the challenge with all of it, if you don't take off the runway, there's no point of having any of that to begin with. So part of this process, the planning in February, what we're talking was taking action. Just take off. Just start doing something. Even if you don't think it's correct, just start doing actionable, productive activities when it comes to real estate. So let's just talk about that here for a second. So the only way to change results is to change your actions. You can only change your actions if you know what you're doing to get you closer to your goals. So you change your day even down to the last details. You are habitually getting the same results day in, day out, whether you like it or not. Because a lot of people, when they have this frustration, they're saying, look, I know I could be doing more, but I'm still getting these results that I don't want. Well, the reason why that is is because you're doing the same actions day in, day out. You brush your teeth the same amount of times day in, day out through habit. Your routine in the morning is habit. Your business is habit. What you do day in, day out. When you show up for appointments and when you book appointments, when you speak to people, it's generally all about the same amount of time. You spend the amount of time each day creating these habitual business things that get you results that you don't want. So the only way to change that, again, go back to the Darren Hardy example, you have to track what you're doing day in, day out. It's the only way to change it. To really flip it on its head, completely change your routine, start to finish. So you even feels awkward. Eat your lunch for breakfast, have breakfast for dinner. It sounds crazy, but it's really going to change getting you out of this habitual way of thinking. If you go to the gym in the morning, go to the gym at night. If you speak to clients in the evening, speak to them in the morning. If you do showings at night, do showings in the morning. It's going to sound strange and outlandish, but it'll break the habit and get you thinking about what you're actually doing. So you want to be proactive in what you're doing day in, day out. You have to start thinking about what you're doing, your activities. Is it productive? Is it non-productive? So again, so that's planning, that's taking action. Again, the key take-home point of that is just take off, right? So just like the plane, just take off the runway, just start taking action. My mentor, Bob Proctor, tells me, he goes, just jump and grow wings on the way down. It doesn't matter if you're ready or not, just start doing it. And the only way to understand how to change your actions into reality is you must track your actions, non-productive versus productive. That's the only way to create your plan and your action steps into a reality that you truly want. My coach in university, my football coach in university, he used to say, practice does not make perfect. And it's a strange concept because, our entire lives we're told practice makes perfect, just practice more and more and more. And he said the only way to become perfect is to practice perfect, because you could be practicing the wrong thing. You could be doing the wrong steps every single day. Yeah, you're at practice, you're taking actions, but if your action steps are wrong, you're going to be getting wrong results. And the translation for that for me when it comes to real estate, a lot of realtors say, yeah, we're busy day in, day out. I'm running around the city like, I've got no time of the day. I'm doing showings all over saying I'm getting no results out of it. Well, it's because you're not creating offers. The only way to get results is to do offers. And you're saying, well, look, I want to do the offers. That's why I'm doing the showings. No, get somebody else to do showings for you. Hire a showing agent. It's the only way to grow your business. That's it. It's simple. Again, but the only way to track that is to track what you're doing day in, day out. So when it comes down to fact and reality, basically all things are possible. So this is what I mentioned earlier about probability theory. So there's a theory in mathematics. If you do, if any mathematic people on the call today listening, if anybody is ever taken an MBA course, anybody who's taken business course in university, you've probably all taken a course called probability theory. Basically, what the premise of the probability theory course, or the sort of the thought process behind it, is that anything in the planet is possible to achieve. Okay, you can send a man to the moon, right? That's probability theory. It's possible, and you can influence the probability. So if you do the things that will make your goal more likely to happen, guess what? They will be more likely to happen. Sounds redundant, right? You want to change your life, you got to change your life. It's that simple. Sitting on the couch thinking about money is different than going out and actually earning it. The problem with the movie The Secret is that it sort of had this, this great marketing spin on you just sit around and think about money and it'll just fall in your lap. It'll just come to your front door. That's not really true. Okay, you have to still go out and earn it. The challenge with the movie The Secret, it really didn't follow up in terms of what it needed to accomplish was, yeah, your thoughts need to be in line, but it needs to be in line with your emotions and your actions. Most people leave out that action step. Okay, they think about they want more money. They're emotionally attached to, yeah, they want more money, but what are they doing about it? Well, they're not doing anything about it. They're sitting around doing absolutely nothing. They're not being productive. So when it comes to your fantasy goal, think about probability theory. Anything on the planet is possible, and you can influence that possibility by doing things in line with what your goal is set. So just as a recap for the whole thing, so your goal, again, A goal, B goal, C goal. Your plan of attack, you have to start taking action, but you have to plan it out and figure out how you distill it down to the smallest common denominator, which you have to be doing day in, day out. You must track your productive activities versus non-productive activities. And then you have to look at your fact and your reality and what is your goal? Are you off target? Are you on target? Are you below your goal, above your goal? If you're above your goal, maybe retweak your goal. Maybe it was too easy for you to achieve. Planes are off course 99% of the time, and you will be too. There's no question about it. One of the challenges with teaching people is they want to see results instantaneously. Well, that's not really how it always works. But if you look at a plane going from Toronto to Montreal, it is literally off course 99% of the time. But there are mechanisms in the plane, and there's the pilot there, and it keeps continually putting you on course, right? You have headwinds, backwind, trail winds, you've got side winds, you've got storms, possibility, you've got potentially things happening on the plane itself. You don't really know what's going to happen during your flight. But that being said, from the time you get from Toronto to Montreal, you're going to be off course most of the time. But as long as you course correct and continually go back on where your destination is going to be, you'll eventually end up in Montreal. So improving your probability. There's basically three main ways to increase your probability of success, right? So going back to probability theory. Number one is learn more things. I've never found somebody who's successful who only knows one thing. They seem to know a lot of different things, whether it's real estate related, whether it's somebody who's working out. The most successful people, when it comes to whatever area of life, they tend to know the most things. They are incredible learners. They take what they learn, they put it into action instantaneously. But more importantly, they try a lot of things. My goodness, they try more things. How many people do you know of, you've always heard, you got to fail your way to success. I have definitely failed my way to success. I have tried everything out there. Most of it didn't work, but the things that did work, I stuck with, and it's got me, a lot of success in life. So you have to try more things. You have to course correct as you go through life. You have to say, yeah, let's try this direct marketing campaign. That didn't work. You don't want to give up. You just want to keep trying. We got to learn. And being persistent is the most common denominator in all things successful. Don't ever give up. So one of the challenges with most new real estate agents coming in the business, even real estate agents who've been in the business for quite some time, they tend to get frustrated and they give up. They're not seeing the changes. But if Darren Hardy interviewed, they did a magazine spread not too long ago, and they interviewed the young billionaires, like the Zuckerbergs and it's the guy from Twitter, but I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But all those the young billionaires, how they made their fortunes, and they each had their own different story and different paths to success. But the common underlying theme through them all is persistent. They were never going to give up. They knew their goal and they're going to achieve it no matter what happened. And that's where they saw such success at such a young age. They were just relentless. They could not be knocked off their path to where they wanted to go. So it's an important lesson for everybody listening today. So when you come to success and tracking what you're doing each day, one of the challenges with most people is that they don't focus on their unique ability or their ability to earn large sums of money. When it comes to real estate agents, you have the ability to earn tens of thousands of dollars per transaction. Like in Toronto, the average transaction is $15,000 commission check for just the average run-of-the-mill place. Doesn't include like the top-end market where you're averaging, like where I live, where the average commission is $50,000 commission check. So your unique ability is you can earn $50,000 a week, a day. It doesn't take very long to get that deal done once it's done. But most people focus on these external circles of, they're excellent at something, they're good at something, they're bad at something, but they're still doing it. They're not delegating. So your unique ability is what earns you the most money. It is typically buried by your day-to-day activities that do nothing to promote you and propel you towards your goal. Your unique ability is something no one can take away from you except yourself. And we tend to become bombarded by mundane day-to-day activities out of habit. And it triggers what most people don't want. It's lack of results and ultimately frustration. And you can do more and be more, but you're not doing it. And that's where the dynamic of frustration happens. You should be doing better, but you're not doing better. You got to really ask yourself why that is. Well, for most people, they're not focusing on what their unique ability is, what their unique talent is. If you're a speaker and you focused on building your website, yeah, that probably helps you out, but you could really delegate that. But the big speakers and sort of the guys that I look up to in this business are, like the Bob Proctors of the world, Jay Abrahams. These guys are incredible speakers. They're incredible orators. And all they do day in, day out is focus on their unique ability, which is speaking. If you ever have the privilege of meeting Bob in person or going to his house, like I have the privilege of doing, He does nothing around the house. Absolutely nothing. There's nothing he has to pick up, clean up, mop up, cook. There's nothing he does, right? All he does day in, day out is focus on his ability, which is speaking. It's the reason why he charges $50,000 an hour. It's the reason why he's booked solid year round, and he's still he's in his 80s. The reason being, even to this day, you go to his house, he's focusing on his speaking ability, his ability to communicate, what his knowledge is, what his base of learning is to teach other people. That is all he focuses on. But what most people do is they focus on the things that they're awful at, right? Day-to-day activities that translate into tens of dollars per hour. If you really had to break it down into $1 per hour, you spend time doing $10 to $15 per hour jobs because it preoccupies your time, because no one can do it better than you, right? No one can do your website better than you. No one can do your blog better than you. No one can tweet out the way you can tweet out. But all that can be delegated, and all can be done by somebody else who can essentially take on your role. But unfortunately, most people spend their days, their whole days are set with dealing with these things that you're just, one, you're not necessarily an expert at. You're not your unique ability, but you're doing it anyways because you think it has to be done. Things that you're okay at are like a $25 activity. Most of this category can be performed by an assistant. So if you go back to the awful activities, these are things that can be done by literally virtual assistants. It can be done by like interns. You don't have to pay them, right? Interns, you could have people on your team, buyer's agents, selling agents, showing agents. You can have a part-time assistant. That's who does that thing. When it comes to the things that you're just okay at, okay, these get into things like $25 an hour. So you could potentially be doing for sale signs, like posting signs like that on the lawn. How many agents go out there and actually put their own sale signs on the lawn? It's a $25 an hour activity that you can hire out. There are other companies out there who do this for you, yet most realtors think they have to do it themselves for whatever reason. I don't know why. It boggles my mind. They're not focusing on their unique ability, their ability to sell, their ability to be with their clients. So let me get into the good circle. So these are like, you're probably good at something. It probably pays you like a half decent salary of $100 per hour. It's tempting to do these activities yourself, but in the reality, if you just focus on your unique ability, paying someone $100 an hour to do it is worth it. So think about your lawyers, your contractors, your buyer showings, your open houses. These are high producing per dollar hour figures. Okay. That's why they get paid $100 an hour. You need a unique talent. You need specialized knowledge, generally speaking, to do this stuff, but it's things that you can delegate. You're not going to do your own legal paperwork. You're not going to, do construction on your house. You can, okay, but you might be good at it, like painting. You might be good at hanging drywall. You might be good at changing, like a light fixture. But why would you do it if you could pay someone $100 an hour to do it, and you're focusing on just doing a sale day in, day out? That's all you focus on. Most people just don't do it. And then we get down to the excellent category. So these are things that you are excellent at doing, okay? It's borderline your unique ability. It's about a $500 per hour activity. This is like offer negotiations, client interaction, listing appointments, referral prospecting and follow-up. Only you can be you, okay? So you can't necessarily go to a client presentation, be there live, and then delegate that and say, no, my client's going to, you'll meet my assistant who is the same as me. That's not always the case, okay? So there's going to be certain things that you just cannot delegate. You can't get somebody to exercise for you. You can't get somebody to be you. So you really have to figure out what you're excellent at doing. If you're an excellent negotiator, if you're an excellent, in-person client contact, then you really should be doing that and following up with that. But when it comes to what you need to be doing day in, day out, it's what we call your unique ability. It's that $1,000 to $25,000 per hour job that you're doing. It's what makes you tick. It's what differentiates you from the pack. It's the only thing you need to focus on, develop, hone, and make unique. This is like speaking, it's teaching, managing a group of realtors, overseeing a team, developing more market share, real estate investing, wholesaling, flipping, acquisitions. These are things that you need to really be focused on as a realtor, as a successful realtor. There's a reason why 90% of the realtors out there don't do any business. It's because they're focused on these small, mundane, day-to-day tasks. They're focused on this purple circle, making them $10 to $15 per hour, and they go home at the end of the day and say, I was really busy today, tweeting out things and doing Facebook and blogging and, just doing nonsense things that just can be delegated to somebody else for 10 to 15 bucks per hour. If all you did was focus on your unique ability, earning 1,000 to 25,000 bucks per hour, paying someone $10 to $15 an hour is really nothing. It's a fraction of a percent to do it. So the biggest question is, where do you spend most of your day? Again, the answer may shock and surprise you, but you'll only know if you track your activities. So this goes back to tracking your activities. I'm writing a book called Success. It's just plain and simple success. It's a very short little book. Part of that process of reaching success, we have a full chapter on just tracking your day-to-day activities. We literally have sheets in there that just track what you do, these 15-minute segments. Okay, 9 to 9:15 in the morning, what are you doing? Are you still in bed? Are you at the gym? Are you talking to clients? Are you doing showings? Are you not delegating? Can you be delegating? You're better off to delegate and instruct people over the phone, your team members or wherever it is, for 15 minutes per day and tell each team member what they need to be doing day in, day out. That's a unique ability that most people do not have, but it will allow you to get to where you want to go. But again, it only happens if you track it. I'm not opposed to promoting other companies in real estate. I'm very open-minded. Gary Keller, who owns Keller Williams Real Estate, is obviously different than Young Realty. We provide different services for our clients and for our realtors. But one thing they really did very, very well over at Keller Williams is they wrote this book called The One Thing. It is probably one of the best real estate specific sales books I've ever read. And basically the question the books ask, what is the one thing you can do each day such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? It's a very short read book. It's, I don't know, like 200 pages. You can probably read it in a day or in a weekend if you're really committed to it. But the shocking thing is if all you had to do, let's say you were unfortunately in prison and they let you out for 1 hour a day. You're in solitary confinement for 23 hours a day, but you're in real estate, and for 1 hour a day, you're only allowed to do one thing for an hour a day. What is that one thing you would do or need to do to create your business that you want? And the challenge with that is most people can't even answer the question. For me, it would be making offers during that 1 hour session. It would be talking to past clients, building referral bases, and that's it. I'd shut it down, and then that's it. You go back into solitary confinement for 23 hours. And then the next day you get out and you do the same thing for 1 hour. What are you doing that 1 hour? Making offers, talking to past clients, generating referrals. Back in the hole, right? 23 hours. Next day, 1 hour. What is the one thing that you need to do day in, day out? For my business, it's talking to hiring recruits, right? New realtors. It's building the academy business, the realtor coach. It's building our development business, our management company, our capital company. We have so many things we're doing, but my focus each and every day has to be in line with each one of those companies. So I spend, again, my 1 hour is now turned into a full 8 hour workday of high productive activities per business that we're doing. So you have to ask yourself, what are you doing? What is the one thing you need to do today, tomorrow, and the next day to really propel your business forward? So that's the message today. If anybody has any questions, you can ask now. If not, we are done for the day. All right, doesn't look like there's any questions. So again, talk about track your success, track your habits, and then move forward with building your business. Again, what's the one thing you need to do day in, day out to be successful?